The EBS Transmission Fluid Service Equipment is a self-contained unit powered by either 110-volt AC or 12-volt DC battery power. There are two 8-gallon tanks in the cabinet, one new fluid and one waste tank. Levels are easily visible and marked at the front of the equipment. Levels are also computer monitored by sonic level sensors in the tanks with LED readouts at the top of the control panel. The new fluid tank is easily filled using the capped filler tube in the top tray of the equipment. The waste tank controlled waste pump in the equipment. Fill and vacuum service hoses, dipstick service hose, and a waste hose are either stored or attached to the cabinet. The equipment can perform a line service, a fixed amount dip and pan. Power source desired. We have chosen a 110-volt AC outlet. On to that source. The power switch and control panel will light. The level indicators at the top of the equipment will indicate existing amounts in the new and used tanks. We recommend the new tank be filled 1 to 2 quarts over the expected service amount, but not over 32 quarts, and the waste tank be empty. With the engine off, locate and disconnect the transmission cooler line. Using the adapter chart attached to the equipment and visually observing the color-coded adapters in the top tray of the equipment, select and attach the adapters to the disconnected cooler line. Attach the cooler line adapter hoses to the adapters and the equipment service hoses to the adapter hoses. Start the vehicle. Check for pressure on equipment's pressure gauge. If no pressure reading, turn the vehicle off and reverse the service hoses and restart the vehicle. Once pressure is noted, press the cooler line button on the control panel. The level indicators on top of the equipment will now default to 12 quarts new fluid service amount and 0 quarts for the waste tank. The equipment is now in bypass mode with normal transmission fluid flow through the equipment back into the vehicle cooler. Using the plus or minus buttons under the new tank level indicator, add or subtract amounts to select the amount of new fluid to be used for service. In this case, 8 quarts is selected. Once the service amount is selected, press the Exchange Start button on the control panel. The equipment will now exchange the amount of fluid selected for service by removing and replacing 0.2 of a quart at a time. Typically about 2 to 3 quarts per minute. This exchange rate will take place until the total amount selected for service has been exchanged. During this time, the transmission can be cycled through the gears. Once completed, the service amount will show 0 and the waste amount 8 gallons. At this point, the machine will automatically go into the bypass mode. Press the stop button when completed. The new and waste tank levels on the control panel will return to actual amounts. Check the transmission fluid levels and add or subtract fluid as needed. To add fluid, press the Add Fluid button, select the amount desired to be added, and press the Add Fluid button to add the amount selected. To remove fluid, press the Remove Fluid button, select the amount desired to be removed, and press the Remove Fluid button to remove the amount selected. Stop the engine, disconnect service hoses and adapters, and reconnect the cooler line. Start the engine, check for leaks, service is complete. Turn the power switch on. The switch and control panel will light. The LED readouts at the top of the control panel will indicate actual amounts of fluid in the new and waste tanks. With the engine off insert the dipstick service tube into the transmission dipstick tube as far as it will reach without excessive force. Attach the equipment service hoses to the end of the dipstick control valve. Press the dipstick button. The new level will default to 12 and the waste level to 0. Using the plus or minus button, adjust the amount desired for servicing. Once the service amount has been selected, press the drain pan button. The equipment will now vacuum the fluid in the drain pan. Once completed, the LED readouts will show amounts selected for service in the left display and amounts removed from the drain pan in the right display. Also note the resume refill button is flashing. At this point, the pan can be dropped if additional maintenance is necessary. With the pan installed, press the resume refill button to replace the original amount removed from the pan. Notice that the new fluid display will default to the original amount removed from the pan as well as an increment for amounts in the hoses. Upon completion of the refill, the new display will default to the new amount remaining for service, and the drain pan light will flash. At this point, it is recommended that the vehicle be started and the transmission be cycled through the gears for 20 to 30 seconds, then the engine stopped. Once stopped, press the drain pan button to go through another cycle of draining and filling the pan as available fluid for service allows. Once the pan has been drained again, press the resume refill button to replace the amount drained. The new fluid display will again default to the amount removed from the pan. Upon completion of the refill, the LED screens will default to the actual amounts in the new and used tanks. Start the engine and check fluid levels. Add or remove fluid as necessary. Service is complete. Thank you.